from Chicago and the Philippines. A comprehensive review of the week's special community events, featuring many exciting personalities, handled by the most professional Chicago Philippine Reports TV staff.
Good afternoon and welcome to Chicago Philippine Reports TV, still the #1 in all the Filipino shows in the Midwest. And I'm Joe Mauricio. Today we have all the top stories from Chicago and the Philippines. We also have our segment host, Veronica, interesting interviews with Melody Rabor Dizon, our Health Matters host, and Joe Mauricio, myself. And I would like to introduce to you Janet Jordy, our new host from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, introducing her Global Inspirations interviews. We also have happening within our own Filipino community here in Chicago. All these are coming up and more from our sponsors. Please stay with us.
Early morning Thursday, more than half of Meralco's customers, around 4 million consumers, have no electricity as Typhoon Ulysses pounded Metro Manila and neighboring provinces. From Bulacan up north to Cavite down south, there are pockets of power interruptions.
Metro Manila, Bulacan, Rizal, Cavite, wala siyang pinili, Alvin. Lahat ng mga naturang lugar may damage kami. Huling nangyari ito sa amin siguro nung panahon ni Undoy.
But by Thursday afternoon, the number of affected customers had gone down to 1.5 million. Meralco says it may take days to restore power, especially in flooded areas.
Tingin ko mga 3-4 na araw po yung bubunuin, lalo din sa mga flooded areas.
For the entire Luzon, the Energy Department estimates about 4 million customers continue to experience power interruptions due to damaged transmission and distribution lines caused by Typhoons Quinta, Rolly, and Ulysses.
In yung marching order ni Secretary Cusi, we will work and monitor 24/7. That's why we are commending our linemen for doing this extra work despite the COVID, despite the floods. In 1 to 2 days, marami tayong makikitang balik na services ng electricity.
Even water supply in the capital region is affected by Typhoon Ulysses as water in Ipo Dam became turbid due to mudslides. Maynilad had to limit water release. This resulted in rotating water interruptions for about 1 million customers in some parts of Metro Manila. Manila Water's Antipolo pumping station is also affected by fluctuating power supply, which causes water interruption for more than 50,000 customers in some parts of Rizal. Meanwhile, customers are also having a hard time getting cell phone and internet signals after the typhoon. Globe says the power interruption in Metro Manila, Camarines Sur, and Pampanga worsened the problem. PLDT Smart, on the other hand, says some of their customers have experienced difficulty in using mobile data due to power outages.
Via Times, vital news, vibrant views for the Filipino Asian communities in Chicago. Via Times for your most interesting and exciting reading and your party coverages. Via Times has very interesting columnists. You name it, Via Times has it. Law, Filipino news, dentistry, immigration, humor, serious opinions, health, beauty, mysticism, Bata Corner, showbiz, and intelligently written editorials. Call Via Times at 773-866-0811.
Magandang hapon po sa inyo lahat and welcome to Veronica's segment of this show. And today I have a very interesting guest who will be talking to us about a very important topic about what we like to hear about most of the time because we have already experienced some kind of discrimination. It's about discrimination in a working place. And the name of my guest today is Mr. Al Grace. Mr. Al Grace is a retired lawyer who now lives in, he goes back and forth, Michigan and Chicago. And welcome to our show, Mr. Al Grace.
Well, thank you, Veronica.
I'm really honored to have you today. And just like what I mentioned, we're going to be talking about discrimination in the workplace. But this concerns the particular person that's involved with this case is your wife, right?
That's right, correct.
And her name is Cheryl Grace. Can you please tell us about a little bit of background, what happened, about the company, about Cheryl, and about the case?
Sure, I'd be glad to, and thank you for having me. Since we filed the lawsuit, we're being careful that she doesn't speak for fear of compromising the case, but I can speak about it a little bit more freely. She's worked for Nielsen for the past 16 years. Her job, particularly, was to um, basically carry the banner for Nielsen throughout multicultural communities, so that they would be um, a trusted member of the community in coming in. Like you had mentioned, that you sometimes get the surveys and the like. At one time, there was some distrust of Nielsen with respect to coming into minority or multicultural communities. And her job was really to dispel that mistrust and get people to participate and be welcoming to Nielsen. And it's happened she's done it inside the African American community, the Hispanic community, and the Asian American community in terms of uh, building bridges and liaisons to those communities. One of the things that she, with her team, created were a series of reports on the consumer habits of those different communities and how important those consumer dollars are to driving the economy. And she's been there 16 years. 13 of the years she's been a senior vice president. Her concern was not just with respect to her, but with respect to particularly African American associates. They weren't necessarily being dealt with in an even handed way. And particularly in her situation where she was looking for expanded responsibilities, um, expanded opportunities, and promotion, um, those didn't come about. And if she looked at other people inside the organization that were contemporaries and peers that didn't look like her, those opportunities were existing and they were happening. So that's really the foundation. Back in June, she wrote a very nice letter to the CEO, David Kinney, expressing her desires for movement, more responsibilities, promotion, and really was asking, what do I need to do to have those opportunities? He also is the chief diversity officer of the organization, and she wrote it in June, and he said that he would give her a call. He has not called her yet. So the difficulty is, and the company's response was, she got a call from HR and the legal department, seeing if she wanted a package to get out of the company. So, and the problem is, you raise your hand and say, "Here I am," and your response is, "Do you want to leave?"
Wow, very interesting. You want you're asking too much. You have, you can leave.
Well, I mean, and that's true because people, when they raise their hand like that, are perceived as troublemakers. You know,
Correct.
you're upsetting the apple cart, and all she simply says, "Where are my opportunities in this organization?" Um,
Correct.
and fortunately, she was in the position to be courageous and ask that question. There are many people that may feel that way, but aren't in the position to stand up and say, "I'd like to know." And asking a question to me is not being a troublemaker.
Yes. But from her high position of senior vice president, is it?
Yes.
Of what would be the next position that she can attain in the company?
In most organizations, the next level would be executive vice president. Sometimes titles are a little bit different in certain organizations, but in generally, if you look at most corporations, that would be the next next tier. And one of her concerns for
Instead
her,
of getting kicked out.
pardon?
Instead of getting kicked out.
Well, there you go. But her concern is you're inside of an organization, you perform well, and you don't get promoted. They may go outside and import someone, but that has a dampening effect on the desire of people inside the organization to work hard, run hard, if that's what's at the end of the rainbow.
All right. But so far, until this point, Nielsen has not replied to her letter,
Not formally.
not formally. And what do you guys plan to do? You have filed a case in court, right?
Well, the case has been filed and it's working its way through the process and the procedures. The exact timing, we're not sure of, but it has been filed.
That is really, for me, it's blatant discrimination. She has been working in the company for so many years, and for them to disregard her and also not offer something. I really don't know. After working for so many years, I know Nielsen is a global company, isn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It is a global company with how many? Wow, it is huge. I know, but I've been hearing about Nielsen since I came to this country, and around how many employees do they have?
I can't answer that because I'm not that close to the company, but it's in the thousands, 30,000, 50,000. It's pretty expansive.
Oh my. Well, anyway, as the lawyer, as your wife's lawyer, what do you plan on doing from here?
Well, she has outside counsel. I'm not a lawyer, but we filed the case, and the company has to respond, and then we take it from there. I mean, it's the desire was not to file a lawsuit. The desire was to work out some of the systemic issues inside the company with respect to minority employees and minority women employees and African American women employees. But the company tended to stonewall that, so they left us with no option but to file the suit, since the others fell on deaf ears. But Veronica, if I may, this is one of the things that gets me, that I think if you look across corporations as a whole in America, some are better, worse than Nielsen. I'm not quibbling with that. But what I think you'll find are very talented people, very talented multicultural people who are looking for upward mobility, and it doesn't come, and they suffer in silence because they don't have the option to stand up and challenge it. And Cheryl's action is broader than her. It's, and particularly at this time in American history, I would think that people would be more understanding that options have to be open to everybody.
I yeah, I really like this. I really like this. Well, the topic of this discrimination, what's going on because it will serve a purpose for our community, which is an ethnic community. It's a small, not as large as the Black community. We're Asian, but the point is, we always hear about discrimination in the workplace.
Well, you have a smaller community, but when it's happening to you as an individual, it doesn't matter about the size of the community. It matters
Right.
about what's
Correct.
happening to me. I think one of the blessings that we have is, and it has nothing to do with the final outcome, but we were assigned, and you'll find this interesting. We were assigned an Asian American judge that was appointed by President Obama that's overseeing the trial.
Oh, really? Is this what court is this in now?
The Federal District Court for Northern Illinois.
Northern Illinois. Okay. All right. And so, well, Al, I'm with you. I really understand, and I think this conversation really will bring some kind of enlightenment in our community. And what can you say, because we're running out of time, what can you say to ethnic communities like us about this kind of discrimination?
Well, I think we have to, despite us maybe having differences, we need to come together around these issues that are common. That they're common, and you have to face it. There has been a social media movement that someone started that has hashtag Nielsen, we are watching you. They've started that and just saying at Nielsen and talking about it so that they're aware.
Social media.
Pardon?
What social media was it?
I think LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, but basically letting the company know that there are people out there that care and care about, if you make these statements about being diverse and open externally and outwardly, the internal workings need to reflect how you're presenting yourself to the public.
Correct. Correct. Very good. Very good point. But one last word.
No, I thank you for having me on. Stay tuned to developments, and I'll be in contact with you to let you know how things are going. But thank you again, and everybody be safe.
Yes, we wish you good luck, and keep us updated. And we really would love to welcome you here again for some kind of update with this discrimination case. I find it really very interesting. Thank you so much, Al, and enjoy your day today.
Thank you, Veronica.
And say hi to Cheryl.
I will.
Okay.
Thank you.
At maraming salamat po sa inyong panonood. Ako po si Veronica. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Bye, Al.
Bye-bye.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Objective Leaders portion of the show. And I'm John Mauricio. This afternoon, I have one very important person. You viewers of diverse community, I want you to listen well, because she can give us some insight on what's going on in corporate America and help you in your upward mobility. And her name is no other than Pam McElvain. Welcome to our show. He is the CEO and president of Diversity. What do you call that?
Diversity MBA.
And Diversity MBA. So what's Diversity MBA?
Well, we're an organization that focuses on leadership and talent management for women and people of color. We basically look at how organizations develop, retain, and advance talent. The MBA is a segment that we focus on in the college community, organizations with graduate degrees.
Okay, minority people with a little dark skin than I am, even though you possess an MBA, you're still hindered in your advancement. Why?
Yeah. So we let me just be clear. We do look beyond the MBA. The MBA just so happens to be part of our brand. But even with any type of advanced degree, regardless, MBA, PhD, JD, or just a college degree, you are faced with in corporate America the micro inequities and microaggressions that exist by other people. So people's biases, in other words, other people's biases and perceptions of who you are and what you should be able to do prevents you from from advancing based on your gifts. So you have to be, as a person of color and a woman, you have to be creative in getting around and leveraging the opportunities that exist.
Being a minority in a corporate America, like your hands is tied. You got to produce more, double your efforts,
Yes.
double your production more or less, and to show that you are worth of your position. And somehow, a lot of minorities have shown that, but still the upward mobility is curtailed.
Yes.
Why? What's going on inside the corporate America that prevent us from moving up?
For many years, it has been the suppression of bias and the actually, I guess, just to be honest with you, Joe, it is systemic racism that exists and that has been manifested, particularly in the employee performance review process. Organizations today now understand that it's been heightened by the social issues that's going on. So they're looking at how they advance people of color, particularly if you have white Americans who are interviewing and advancing white Americans, and those are the largest group ready in the pipeline, then they're going to do more of the same. So you as a person of color and a woman of color have to understand what exists within the organizations in terms of mentoring programs, in terms of what the advancement opportunities are. You do have to not just work harder, but be bolder and ask those questions, have allies in place that allows you to do that, because the manifestation of bias is real.
Correct. Yeah. Is mentorship a necessary tool to move upward?
It is. It absolutely is a necessary tool because, I mean, when you talk about working harder, right, and we have to work harder, we're already qualified and sometimes overqualified for positions. And we take positions that are what they call undervalued for our efforts. So you have to have allies and you have to have mentors to help you navigate that culture, particularly if you're new in the culture, and particularly if you're not in positions where your work is able to be seen or shown. Mentors allow you to understand how to navigate the next levels, and then allyships may help you get access to resources that you normally would not have had, and someone to speak on your behalf where you may not always have those opportunities.
Another thing that I found inside the corporate America is the clique, the culture of clique. Being a member of the clique, you have a good chance of advancing more. How do you describe that? I mean, the clique concept.
So that's what we call affinity bias, and we call it in-group bias. So the clique concept really is people that feel comfortable in working with each other, working with people that are more like themselves. And oftentimes those folks in those roles are the ones responsible for advancing you. So you have to, and people talk about today to bring your authentic selves to work, but you have to understand and position yourself as a person of color to help that other person be comfortable with you. You have to help that other person feel like that you belong and that they belong, even though you're in the same organization. So to break down the click is what organizations are doing is a lot of training around implicit bias to help people become aware that the other cultures around them should be respected and appreciated. As you know, it's a long journey and it takes time for that to happen. So what can we do? We can educate folks when we see them. We can speak up and speak out and be bold about helping people understand when we feel like we're part of the out group, an outlier, and we would like to be a part of certain assignments, being asked to be certain meetings. If we're looked over, let's bring it up and say, you know, why was I not included in that meeting?
Yeah, you're the expert in the inclusion and equality and diversity. How do you fight that? I'm an Asian. Okay, my origin is from the Philippines. I'm Asian descent, and how do I position myself to be a member of the clique or to understand the culture of corporate America?
Yes. So that's a really, you know, big question, because when you look at even the number of Pacific Islanders, and even from Native Hawaiian and even Native Americans, if you will, is a very small number that are actually in corporate America. So just being able, you know, to identify, find the group that you can identify with can be challenging. However, corporate America has established what we call employee resource groups. These are groups, and they're both affinity groups and they're networks to help you identify with cultures that will help you navigate your way through corporate America. So for example, they do have groups for, you know, folks of Philippine descent, folks of Asian descent, folks of, you know, if you're a different generation, or if you're a working parent. So where you can identify, I really encourage employees to recognize where they can get involved with the buddy system immediately, because you're gonna have support in navigating the culture of corporate America. I mean, that's just the reality. It's just not that easy. I mean, you have to have, when you come on and you're hired, and if you feel immediately as an outlier within the team, if you feel that there's a clique that you can't be a part of, you have to bring that forward. You can't sit there and own that you know, that disenfranchisement that you're getting. You can't stand by and sit back and feel ridiculed. You have to actually, it's your responsibility to step up, and then it's their responsibility to break down the barriers. I mean, because if you don't, it's just going to continue to be hard. Now, are they trying? They are. The largest problem exists of the employees in the middle. So the individual contributors, the middle managers. So while leadership is saying one thing, other, you know, things are happening around biases and cliques and things that are micro inequities that are going on in the daily routines. So organizations are trying to bring in tools to help change the habits of people. But I tell you, the reality is to go sit down and ask, can you have a difficult, you know, honest conversation with your leader and talk about how you're feeling, any levels of isolation, particularly in this environment, but organizations are more sensitive today. The heightened awareness of sensitivity today is off the chain. So take advantage of their sensitivity.
But Pam, my experience was if you are too assertive, and the perception in the upper management is you are a troublemaker.
Yes.
You know, how do you go around that?
Well, you have to balance that. That's good. That's really good, because, you know, here I am, an African American female, and I'm listening to other executive Black women that say I've got to deal with the angry Black women syndrome. And you're right. If you're too assertive, so we have to balance it. You have to understand who's in the in group. I mean, I don't care how often they say, "Oh, we want to be authentic. We want you to bring your authentic self." The reality is you have to measure that culture. You have to see how much of yourself you can bring forward. And then, you know, you do unfortunately have to ask permission to be honest. You want a safe environment. And you want to express that with the person. And some of the realities are some people don't want to do that. And then you have to go over their head and do it. But you're right, because we're dealing today with lawsuits, or companies are still dealing with lawsuits and discrimination lawsuits and class action suits with this kind of dissension that exists in the workforce. With what people, they don't necessarily want to change that fast, even though the society is saying we need to do it, even though the CEO is saying we need to do it. There are other people that are within the ranks that don't necessarily want to. So then, so the reality is being assertive, speaking out, it does, and it potentially may tag you. It really will. But you find your allies. You have your allies. You work your network and you have those conversations and ask for the support. And it's important to ask. Oftentimes we don't, as people of color. We sit there and take it. We have to ask.
America is
I want that picture.
a country of immigrants. There will be a lot of immigrants coming in. How do you help them cope with the culture that's waiting for them in American corporate America? How do you adjust to that?
Well, I will say this to you. I'll be really honest. There was a time when corporate America wrapped their arms around immigrants and did everything to help the families of the immigrants that were both employed and those that were expatriates with green cards. And then, the political environment changed. Y'all, just be honest with you. With the change in the political environment, it halted and it created fear among organizations, particularly tied to federal government contracts. That's the reality. And so what happened is, they stepped back on that and did not weren't able to help as aggressively as they would have liked to. So I'm not gonna kid you. It's very difficult. It's very, I mean, my heart goes out. 600 children displaced from their parents. I can't even imagine that trauma and to be a part of that. And that's not where corporate America wants to go, but the voice has been silent. They have not stepped out. So we're hoping now they will. And the community, organizations has communities that they have in their environmental corporate responsibility and their commitment to community development of both pipeline and people of color and underrepresented populations. They do have that commitment to do that. And now they're revisiting that today. They are revisiting that today. And they are looking at how we can get back to having a good, healthy dreamer relationship so that the immigrants can continue to find solace here and their children can have a safe place to grow up. It's going to take some time to get that back, though. I'll be honest with you.
Okay, my time is up, and I hope the listeners and the viewers get something out of this one, because Pam McElvain is the expert in really coping with corporate America. Again, this is Joe Mauricio. Thank you for sharing your Sunday with us, and I hope to see you soon.
It's more fun in the Philippines.
This is Janet Jordy at Global Inspiration, where you need to be seen, need to be heard, and be an inspiration to the world. Our guest this week cringes when I ask her to describe herself based on her resume, and she wants and she prefers to be introduced as a woman, a lawyer, and a mother of four, because she firmly believes that what she has done in the past, the present, and the future are based on this description. She is Angela Librado Trinidad. She is the Philippine Labor Attaché to United States and Caribbean Islands. As a woman, she advocates for women's rights and women empowerment. She has been a member of Davao City Council for 9 years under the leadership of the then mayor and now President Duterte. She authored legislations that became laws, and these legislation are focused on gender inequalities that, and also for violence against women and girl children and women's health and reproductive clinic. She was also a barangay captain. As a lawyer, she handled primarily cases of women physically abused, psychologically, and economically. In 2010, she co-founded Women in Law, a firm focused on legally advocating for rights of women and girl children. As a labor attaché, she affirms being all this, a woman, a lawyer, and a mother of four, carry the voice of OFW or overseas Filipino workers. Ladies and gentlemen, let's all welcome Attorney Angela Librada Trinidad.
Good afternoon, Attorney Angela Librado. Global Inspiration is so honored to have you today as our guest as the Philippine Labor Attaché. But today, we will not be talking about your position. We will be talking with you as a woman, as a lawyer, and as a mother of four. And thank you very much for having you as our guest today.
Thank you, Janet, and thank you for Global Inspiration for inviting me. It is my honor indeed to be invited in a program that seeks to inspire others, especially our women.
Thank you very much. So, where are you from in Davao? Where are you from in the Philippines?
Well, I am from Davao. I hail from the city where our President Duterte lives, and I'm very proud of it.
Okay, thank you very much. So, you are now in the United States of America. Can you please tell the viewers where are you, what state and what city are you, where are you from?
Temporarily, I am now in the United States, working, and I am with my family, and we are residing in Maryland because my work basically is in Washington, D.C.
Ah, okay. So how long have you been in America?
We arrived in January of 2018. It was winter when we arrived, and I am here for a 5-year term, hopefully. But because of the nature of our work, we can be recalled anytime, but we can never be extended. So I haven't even unpacked some of my bags yet.
That's okay. So you've been here for more than 2 years. And
Correct.
when I ask you to introduce yourself, and you're one of the most humble people that I've known. And you told me that, Janet, you introduced me as a woman, a lawyer, and a mother of four. And as a woman, I know you've been advocating for women's equality and empowerment of women, not only in the Philippines, but now in America. Can you talk more about this?
Thank you, Janet. I just feel that since you are a woman, you don't need to be special. You just need to be yourself, because the best advocates for a particular issue or of a particular case or of a particular concern is one who belongs to that sector herself. So I think as women, it is inherent in us to carry our ideals, make known our dreams as a sector and as individuals. And I think that basically there's nothing extraordinary about me, but there is definitely something that is extraordinary about the women's causes that we carry.
Thank you. So when we hear the word librado in Davao City, Philippines, we know they are politicians. I know in 1980s, your mom, was that your mother or your father, both of them are in the political arena. So can you share with the viewers your political experience in the Philippines?
I do not want to claim that I'm an accidental politician because, as you said, I belong to a family of personalities who are in politics. But I have to say that, of course, for all the people of Davao City, they know the brand of politics that we carry.
Correct.
And since then, I have been exposed to that brand of politics, and it is not by accident, it is not also by choice, but I think it is by circumstance that I got involved in politics first as a Sangguniang Kabataan chairperson in 1992.
Exactly.
And then I was eventually invited by the president, then Mayor Duterte, to join his slate in 2001, and the rest is history.
So I'm so proud of you being in the politics arena, because I know you are so humble and so honest, and most of the people in the politics are not. I'm sorry to tell you that, but I'm not, because I've experienced it. I know you as a labor attaché. You came here in America, tagging along your whole family, your 4 kids and your husband. And being the Philippine labor attaché, I understand that the application was evaluated by the Commission on Civil Service, I think, and it was also, you were appointed by the department head, which in your case is the Department of Labor and Employment. My question is, you have 4 kids, you have a stressful job. How do you manage to have a very smooth transition?
Well, it's not smooth at all. I think if there was one thing that I have prepared my family for, is for us, all of us, to live independently. I have in the Philippines, we never had any help from yayas or somebody who would take care of our children. A lot of our colleagues in the legal profession would see me carrying my babies in the court. And the court that my children have grown up with is not the basketball court or any court, but the court that is in Davao City, where I usually hold my hearings. So that's it. I think it's smooth in that particular phase. But of course, you will never be prepared for something that is new, a culture that is very alien to us. Although we've seen that on TV, my kids were exposed to what it is to be in America through the movies and through their vacations, but it is actually very different if you're living it. So the most stressful for my family is to be able to transition from one house to another during our first few days.
Correct.
We would like to welcome all of you to Baladna Jewelry. We have a very big selection of 21 karat gold jewelry imported from the Middle East, from Dubai, Saudi, and Bahrain. And we have a very big selection of diamond. We offer free financing for 6 months, and we have a layaway system which you can leave your stuff for 3 months. We repair gold and we buy old gold. Welcome to Baladna Jewelry.
Salamat po.
Good afternoon. This is Bridget Carino-Quetter bringing you this week's local news from our community. The Archdiocese of Chicago and Cook County officials held a committal service to bury indigent, unidentified, and unborn persons. Cook County, through the Cook County Medical Examiner's Office, is entrusted with the final disposition of indigent deceased, unidentified deceased, and fetal remains. The Archdiocese of Chicago Catholic Cemeteries had agreed to provide burial as a public service. The committal service included the burial of 1 unidentified person, 48 unborn persons, and 114 cremated indigent remains. Local funeral directors and other volunteers accompanied each descendant at the service and stayed until the burial was complete. Reverend Lawrence Sullivan, Director of Catholic Cemeteries of the Archdiocese of Chicago, presided over the service and led the blessing of the caskets. Since 2012, Catholic Cemeteries, the Archdiocese of Chicago, and Cook County have worked together with help from the Cook County Funeral Directors Association, Worsham College of Mortuary Science, and Malcolm X College to bury the indigent, unborn, and unidentified persons. ComEd has just announced that they are launching a new program called Helping Hand, which will provide a grant of up to $300 to help to assist low-income families in their financial time of need. With the rise of COVID-19, ComEd has provided some key benefits about this program that are useful for families seeking financial relief. Helping Hand is the latest program in providing financial assistance to Chicagoland residents, including an $18 million bill payment assistance program that was announced earlier this summer. The program was designed to help support and help individuals and families who are facing financial hardships. ComEd's Bill Assistance Program also includes flexible payment options and financial assistance of past due balances. The Illinois Department of Agriculture is proud to relaunch a program aimed at highlighting our servicemen and women in agriculture. The Homegrown by Heroes program allows Illinois farmers, ranchers, fishermen, and producers who have served in the U.S. military to use a special logo on the agricultural products they sell to the public. As a veteran, I understand how hard it is to return to civilian life, said Jerry Costello II, IDOA acting director. We want to help our servicemen and women in the agriculture industry in any way possible. Highlighting products grown by our veterans will not only help to grow the agriculture industry, but give our servicemen and women the boost they need to grow their second career. Governor J.B. Pritzker and the Illinois Department of Human Services, IDHS, announced today that the state of Illinois will join the governor's challenge to prevent suicide, a national effort that champions mental health support and preventative services for veterans. The state is dedicating $2 million to the initiative, in partnership with the Federal Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration and the Illinois Department of Veterans Affairs. In 2019, suicide was the 12th leading cause of death among Illinois residents of all ages, but third leading cause of death among those aged 1 to 24 years. The American Medical Association Foundation announced a $100,000 donation to support patients and care teams working together to manage blood pressure, BP, in Chicago's West Side communities. This funding helps to expand the American Medical Association, AMA, and American Heart Association, AHA's current work with the West Side United, WSU, to support local health care organizations and their efforts to help patients with hypertension better manage their BP remotely. High BP is an important modifiable risk factor for cardiovascular disease, which is the leading cause of death on the West Side. The AMA and AHA are working with WSU to help close the large life expectancy gap of up to 16 years between the west side of Chicago and Chicago's downtown neighborhoods, as identified by WSU. The organizations are committed to a long-term goal of working with the West Side clinics and patients to lower systolic BP by 10 mmHg or attain BP control in patients with hypertension. That's all for today. Thank you for watching this week's news. See you next time. This is Bridget.
Okay, ready guys? Introducing our new Energy Star certified washer and dryer. Thanks to rebates from ComEd.
Yay! We love rebates! Ay, Daniel, we are famous.
Get used to it. When you use less water and electricity, people notice.
I can get used to that.
So can I.
Take it easy.
Get rebates from ComEd on select Energy Star certified appliances and find even more savings with the ComEd Energy Efficiency Program. ComEd, powering lives.
Hi, my name is Jericho Dizon. I'm a shift lead at Starbucks. Things that have been challenging during this pandemic has been quite literally indoor seating. When we have people come inside, one of our biggest struggles is maintaining that social distancing, making sure people wear masks. I have people that come in and they refuse to wear masks, which is quite troublesome. Another thing too is keeping our workplace safe as well. So what we do is we split our staff into two pods, into two sets, one in the morning, one for the night. And that causes also some kind of problems within. But more so, things that we do to keep ourselves safe, we wear masks all the time. Every half an hour, we wash our hands, our whole team on the floor. On top of that as well, every half hour, we also wipe with a special disinfectant that Starbucks makes for the inside. so to keep everyone safe. On top of that as well, we instead of actually handing out the drinks by hand, what we do is we put it in a mug and they give it. So we're not ever actually touching the customer, which is good. And then before every shift, we always do a temperature check. So that goes and it's pointed at the head, tells you the temperature. Afterwards, we also do a questionnaire that everyone, including myself, answers, but I verify to see if you're able to work or not. And then lastly, if in the ever unfortunate case that you have come into contact or have tested positive, you are required to self-isolate for at least 10 days. And that can be a problem, especially if someone in the position such like myself or higher does end up getting in contact. That means in some cases, in some extreme cases, we did have to shut down the store early, which is never fun.
Wow. That is, thank you so much, Jericho, for that information. But you had mentioned earlier, kind of strike a conversation here about when customers do not wear a mask. Do you serve them? Can you serve them? How do you deal with that?
So we are always open to offer a mask. So when someone comes in, we say, and we notice they don't have a mask, we say, would you like a mask today? And if they refuse, we reserve the right to not serve them.
Oh, okay.
What we can do at the most is we can have them wait outside. We can have them wait outside and we'll bring the drink out to them if they refuse to wear a mask. But if it ever comes to such a degree, I can ask them to formally leave the Starbucks and we do not have to serve them. Yes.
Wow, that's good. And also you mentioned about your staff, say if they get in contact with somebody who's positive COVID or just the likelihood that the exposure is really high and great. Does Starbucks or your company, and I guess I'm asking other companies maybe to rethink, is it a paid leave, sick time, or?
For Starbucks specifically, we are fortunate enough to actually have instances where you have instances where if this happens, you have to self-isolate, that you will get paid for your time and you don't have to use your sick hours or your vacation hours. However, once you reach a certain threshold of isolations, they'll stop paying you and you'll have to use like your vacation time or sick time for that.
I see. Those are very good information. So have you seen an increased number of maybe drive-ups then?
Yes. Almost like 80% of all our business is through the drive-thru, especially now that we're on a busy street. All our business happens almost all through the drive-thru because A, people don't want to get out of their cars because it's easier, and B, some people oftentimes, and it's very common that it's not that they choose not to wear one, but they forget it. So, and they just decide, I'll just go through the drive-thru. Mm-hmm. And that way it's quicker and it's also very much in and out.
That's great.
Because you can't sit inside anyway.
That's true. Now, because it's the holiday season, what are your specials? I know you have those once the season that comes out. So what do you suggest?
Oh, what I suggest is the caramel brulee latte. That's really good. I'm a fan of caramel brulee. It has crunchy caramel at the top with cream, espresso, and house-made caramel brulee flavoring, which is really good.
Wow, that is, I'm drooling right now just as you're saying that. So holiday-wise, I know there's going to be a lot of traffic coming in and coming out, and plus there's a mandate order. So when if there's a mandate order, I guess you guys have to comply, right?
It depends. Mm-hmm. So Starbucks during hard lockdown back in March.
Yes.
In March, Starbucks actually stayed open because they were considered an essential business. Now, for us on a ground level, we hear from our manager or district manager if we are allowed to stay open. If we are not, then we will shut down. However, because we have the drive-through, it is most probable that we're going to stay open if something were to happen, like a hard lockdown once again.
I see. You caught me there when you said that Starbucks is an essential business. I guess we have come to that point in time, huh? Because I think a fluid for me is like water, and water, you can't live without water. But I guess some people live off of coffee, and
yes,
that's it. Oh my gosh. Well, Jericho, this has been very pleasant and very, very informative. I really thank you for your time. And any last few words for our televiewers?
Stay safe. wear a mask, wash your hands. If you hear about some kind of get together, stay home. I mean, the longer that this will, the more that you do will make this longer. And obviously we want to keep everyone safe because come time, I can't wait for all this to pass.
That's right. Thank you so much, Jericho.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Cprtv's exciting portion, the birthday section. And we would like to wish this week's celebrant, starting with Kenzo Wildor, turning 2 today. Happy birthday, Kenzo. Luella Cabalona, our staff member, turning 19 today. Happy birthday, Sama Sama Project. Luella. Jerry Arguines. Happy birthday to Jerry. Tessie Salgado, Sione Agbay, and lastly, our friend from the community group, Attorney June Joaquin. Happy birthday, June. And lastly, our condolences to the family of Delpin Masangkay, who is an active community leader, a DJ, and dance instructor. We will surely miss you, Delpin. And again, this is Joe Mauricio saying thank you for sharing your Sunday with us, and I hope to see you again next week. And mabuhay!
So wonderful, so